November 24th, 1971. A man walked into an airport. He looked ordinary, middle-aged, well-dressed, calm, forgettable. No one paid attention to him. That would become a mistake. He purchased a one-way ticket. The name on the ticket was simple: Dan Cooper. The world would remember him differently as D.B. Cooper. He boarded Northwest Orient Flight 305. The aircraft was a Boeing 727. It was flying from Portland to Seattle. A short flight, only about 30 minutes. There were 36 passengers on board. Nothing seemed unusual. Cooper sat near the rear of the aircraft. He ordered a drink, bourbon and soda. Then he smoked a cigarette. In 1971, that was normal. The flight took off. A few minutes later, Cooper handed a note to a flight attendant. At first, she ignored it. She assumed it was a phone number or another passenger flirting. Then Cooper leaned closer. "You'd better look at that note." She unfolded the paper. The message was terrifying. He had a bomb, and he wanted her to sit beside him. She obeyed. Cooper opened his briefcase. Inside were red cylinders, wires, and a battery. Whether it was real, no one knows, but she believed it, and that was enough. Cooper made his demands: $200,000, 4 parachutes, and a fuel truck waiting in Seattle. He was calm, polite, almost friendly. He never raised his voice. He never panicked. He simply waited. The pilots were informed. Air traffic controllers were notified. The FBI was contacted. As the plane continued toward Seattle, authorities scrambled. The ransom money was collected, $10,000 $20 bills. Every serial number was recorded. The parachutes were gathered. The airport prepared for landing. Inside the cabin, most passengers had no idea. Cooper drank his bourbon, smoked another cigarette, and looked out the window. The plane landed in Seattle. The passengers remained seated. They still did not know. Outside, federal agents watched from a distance. No one wanted to provoke him. The money was delivered. The parachutes arrived. Cooper inspected them. Then he made another demand. The passengers would leave, but the crew would stay. The passengers disembarked safely. Many walked past Cooper. They had no idea they were looking at a future legend. Now only a few people remained on board: the pilots, a flight engineer, and one flight attendant. Cooper gave new instructions. He wanted to fly again, south toward Mexico, at low altitude, with the landing gear partially deployed, and with the rear stairway ready. It was an unusual request, but the Boeing 727 had something unique: a staircase beneath the tail. It could be lowered during flight. Cooper knew this. Most people did not. That fact changed everything. The plane took off again. Night had fallen. Rain covered the sky. Strong winds swept across the region. The aircraft headed south. 2 military jets followed at a distance, but they struggled to see anything. The weather was terrible. Inside the cabin, Cooper prepared himself. He tied the money bag to his body. He selected one of the parachutes. Then he ordered the flight attendant into the cockpit. She became the last person to see him. At approximately 8:13 p.m., something happened. The aircraft suddenly lurched. A warning light appeared. The rear staircase had been activated. The pilots knew what it meant. Cooper was leaving. Nobody saw him jump. Nobody heard him jump. Nobody watched him disappear. He simply stepped into the darkness and vanished. The aircraft eventually landed. The FBI rushed on board. Cooper was gone. So was the money. The tie he left behind remained. A few cigarette butts were reportedly collected, but they were later lost. No body was found. No parachute was discovered. No remains appeared. Nothing. The man had disappeared into the night. An enormous search operation began. Hundreds of soldiers searched forests. Helicopters scanned rivers. Investigators examined mountains. Nothing. No footprints. No clothing. No money. No body. Many believed he had died. The conditions were brutal. It was dark, rainy, freezing. The terrain was heavily forested. He jumped wearing business shoes and a suit. Survival seemed impossible. Yet there was a problem. No evidence of death ever appeared. Years passed. Then something unexpected happened. In 1980, a young boy was digging near the Columbia River. He found money, bundles of $20 bills. Rotting in the sand, investigators checked the serial numbers. It was Cooper's ransom money, nearly $6,000. At last, a clue. But it only deepened the mystery. How did the money get there? Had Cooper survived? Did he bury it? Did floodwaters carry it downstream? Nobody knew. The discovery raised more questions than answers. The FBI investigated thousands of suspects. Some were criminals, some were former soldiers, some were parachutists. One suspect seemed promising. Richard McCoy, another was Kenneth Christensen, then came Robert Rackstraw. Each had supporters. Each had problems. No suspect could be proven. No one matched perfectly, and one detail kept haunting investigators. Cooper seemed prepared. He knew the Boeing 727. He understood parachutes. He knew exactly what to demand. He acted calmly, professionally, as if he had done something similar before. Was he military, a former pilot, a paratrooper, an intelligence operative? Nobody knows. The mystery grew into legend. Books were written, documentaries were produced, movies borrowed his story. The unknown hijacker became a folk hero, a gentleman criminal, a man who outsmarted the FBI. But perhaps that image is misleading, because another possibility exists. Perhaps he died that night. Perhaps his body still lies somewhere in the forests of Washington. Perhaps the money buried in the sand was all that remained. The FBI investigated for 45 years. Thousands of leads were examined. Hundreds of suspects were considered. Millions of dollars were spent. Then in 2016, the investigation officially ended. The case remains unsolved. No confirmed identity, no body, no confession, no definitive evidence. Only questions. A man boarded a plane. He carried a briefcase, claimed he had a bomb, collected $200,000, jumped into a storm, and disappeared. More than 50 years later, no one knows whether he survived. No one knows who he was. And perhaps the most astonishing fact remains this: a man committed one of the most famous hijackings in history, then stepped into the darkness and was never seen again.